Welcome to Eirin, an AI community partner built for game studios. Player feedback is scattered everywhere: storefronts, Reddit, Discord, YouTube, each one telling you something different. Eirin exists so your ability to understand and respond to every player doesn't disappear as your community grows. It does that through two things: read and write. Read turns what players are saying into something your team can actually use. Write helps you communicate back to those players individually, at scale. The idea is for Eirin to work like a teammate, not another dashboard. Once it's set up, interactions happen through email or Slack. Let's begin by setting it up, and along the way, we'll take a look at its first core functionality. We'll start by setting up Eirin across 5 steps, all of which remain editable. As part of the setup, we'll give it a name, email address, and the game it'll focus on, Minecraft in this case. Eirin will report back to the email address you signed up with. That's its primary point of contact. Once you complete step 1, you can skip straight to chat if you need something immediately. Here you can share relevant studio context and documents. I'm attaching information about Minecraft's newest update, so Eirin understands what changed before analyzing player reactions. You can also request custom reports, comparisons or topic-specific breakdowns, and tell Eirin which sources or formats to prioritize. It remembers preferences and can work with up to 2 years of company context. With that in mind, let's go back and walk through the rest of the setup needed for read. Eirin can connect to an email ID, a Slack account, or both to send reports and communicate with you. I'll keep it simple and go with email only using Jeff's email ID. Next, we choose the sources it reads, from storefronts to social channels. Each source gives a different signal. For example, Discord gives early unfiltered feedback from highly engaged players, while Instagram provides a broad overview of player sentiment. These are permissions we give Eirin, not custom integrations to build, so setup stays simple. For this report, I'm focusing on publicly available information from Reddit, the mobile storefronts, and YouTube. Let's pause the setup here and jump into read first, since most of the remaining setup is really about configuring Eirin's write functionality. We'll come back to that when we get into write. Once that's done, we receive a welcome email from Eirin. It confirms the game it's working on, the sources it's monitoring, and how we'll be communicating with it. It also gives us a quick overview of what Eirin can do, from generating reports and drilling deeper into specific areas, to scheduling recurring reports and much more, which I'll leave for you to explore. This is really where the normal workflow starts. I'm going to reply, like I would to a teammate. Eirin acknowledges the request, lets me know it's getting to work, and around 15 minutes later, the completed report will land in my inbox. And here it is. Right away, Eirin gives me a quick summary of what it found, including the overall sentiment, the biggest insights, and how sentiment differs by source. It also includes a link to the full report, so let's open that up and take a closer look at what's driving these results. Here, we're looking at Minecraft over the weeks following the 26.3 update. Let's see how players have been reacting to it and what Eirin has picked up. We first get an overall picture of the report. In this case, it analyzed over 130,000 pieces of player feedback across selected sources. We can immediately see that sentiment is broadly positive, with excitement around a new block and biome driving a lot of that conversation. Concurrently, Eirin is surfacing important issues underneath the positive response, including Bedrock players not having access to the same features and a spike in installation problems among new buyers. This is where sections like trend monitoring become particularly useful. Remember that spike in installation problems? Eirin connects the dots. A recent price reduction brought in more first-time buyers, which exposed an existing installation issue at much greater scale. So the same change creating goodwill was also magnifying a major pain point. Rather than just seeing sentiment shift, we can understand what's driving it and where we may need to act. That gives me the overall picture. But I'm particularly interested in what players are saying on YouTube, so let's drill down there. Again, Eirin's reply email gives me the headlines. The full report explains what's driving them and what the team can do next. Across almost 15,000 comments, it found that a new mechanic genuinely lifted sentiment. Players talked about deleting workarounds and receiving an update they had waited years for. But complaints about bugs, missing parity features, and the end update appeared beneath every kind of video. This separates what the release improved from the broader frustrations still shaping reactions. Eirin also analyzes conversations across languages and brings the findings together in English. Player evidence remains in its original language to preserve meaning, with translations available on request. By the end, I understand both the positive shift and the wider frustration, with player evidence supporting each. And that's really the core of Read, starting broad, then drilling into the exact areas that matter most to you. Now that we've seen how it works, let's jump back into setup and complete the remaining steps so we can prepare Eirin for Write. The next step is setting Eirin's guardrails. This is where we define what it's allowed to do when it communicates with your players. 2 are enabled by default. Eirin always requires human approval and cannot share or post any information contained in confidential documentation provided to it. I'm also adding an instruction for Eirin to never address players by name in its replies. After quickly reviewing our setup choices so far, we can move on to the final step, setting up Eirin's replies. First, we link a service account for each storefront and decide if Eirin should reply to reviews automatically. Then, we give Eirin a few rules to follow when writing. In this case, I've asked it to avoid common AI writing tendencies. This prompt becomes its main reference for things like tone of voice, apologies, and how it should set expectations with players. Before giving Eirin permission to reply autonomously, we can also generate a preview using an actual player review. This is really a trust-building step. I've copied a review from the Play Store to see exactly what Eirin would say, check the tone, make any refinements we need, and only automate once I'm comfortable with the output. The idea is to build enough confidence that routine player communication can happen at scale without every response becoming manual work. Eirin can handle volumes of 5,000 plus replies a day, so even as the community grows, each player can still get that individual VIP level treatment. And that's Eirin in a nutshell. We started with a simple problem. As your community grows, maintaining the same depth of understanding and individual rapport with players becomes increasingly difficult. Read and Write are Eirin's answer to that, helping studios understand what their community is saying, act on what matters, and close the loop with players so they know they've been heard. Ultimately, the goal is simple. A growing community shouldn't have to mean a more distant relationship with your players. Eirin, powered by Lysto.